Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Now, let's start with setting the premises and some rules. If you commit a crime and I commit the same crime, we should be guilty of the same, or we should meet the same definition, which is criminal, or perpetrators of a certain kind of suspects of committing of a crime. Now, regardless if it's you or I, we should be called the same because we perpetrated the same act of, which in this case could be criminal. So we should agree with that. Why? Because otherwise that means justice is not blind, and then it's a situational kind of justice. You're my friend, you commit a crime, didn't commit a crime, you are not my friend, you commit a crime, the same crime, you are a criminal. So if you remember, the Russians were accused of using cluster munition in Ukraine, which is bad, not illegal because they are not signatories of the whatever agreements, but they're considered bad dudes doing that. Well, I don't know, I can't tell you, but Ukraine pointed its finger, and the Americans and others, hey, Germany especially, which is a signatory of that treaty, they said, well, the Russians are using cluster munition, and that's bad. Well, the Ukrainians use it. Well, the Ukrainians, if you remember, vowed, pinky promise, they promised that they will not use the cluster munitions to attack civilians, correct? Only the military targets, which is humans. But anyway, or others. So humans being military personnel, fighting them with that unprovoked war and all the Okay, now I said that, let's move on. So look at this article coming from Russia, and it's from Sputnik. Ukraine killed Izyum residents with cluster munitions. Data from collected by Human Rights Watch. So, are these Russian guys here? Human Rights Watch, right here. Are they Russians or something? Well, they said, according to the Russians, that the data collected by these guys indicates that Ukraine killed residents, civilians, with cluster munitions. Is that a crime? Well, if it is for the Russians, then it is for you too. As I said, neither of these countries are signatories of that little agreement. So let me show you what these guys are saying. Geneva, Switzerland, Human Rights Watch, HRW, told RIA Novosti that it has collected evidence of killing of residents of Izyum as a result of Ukrainian shelling by cluster munitions in 2022, last year. Mary Wareham, the advocacy director of the arms division of the HRW, said that the watchdog published a report on the situation in Izyum in January and saw, and I'm quoting, that's a direct quote provided by Sputnik, evidence that Ukraine was firing cluster ammunitions rockets into the area. And I'm quoting her again from HRW. We found that out after the Russians had left, and our researchers went in to look at war crimes and atrocities that have been committed, and they saw the remnants of cluster ammunition everywhere. They were told the direction of which they were fired from, that we determined that it was separate forces who had used. And we've detailed evidence of civilians had been killed or wounded in their homes, outside their homes, and in apartment building, in parks and other areas. So, civilian harm there as well. So, we've detailed evidence of civilians had been killed or wounded in their homes, outside their homes, and the apartment building, in parks and other areas. So, civilians there were harmed. Term cluster munitions refers to any kind of shell that opens in the air and releases a number of small explosives called bomblets, end quote, over a large area. When cluster bomblets scatter, they can maim and kill civilians and have high failure rates. The Americans said that they provided the Ukrainians with mini failure rate. It's so like 3% or something. Oh my God! So it's 3% of 100. So it would be 3 people get blown up by them by failure. With duds posing a danger for years to come after a conflict ends. That is, like, they don't explode, and then they explode when a kid plays around. But it's just 3%. I think it was 3%, if I remember correctly. So that's 3 children out of 100. Well, what if one of those children is yours? So you see, 1 child is too much, just to start with that. And any kind of civilian is too much. Don't give me 3%. Because if that's your family, 3%, and you have 10 people, you have, let's say your family is 100, you got 3 people of your family, possibly based on your little tiny mini low failure rate. According to these guys, the Russian says high failure rate, which has been ratified by 123 countries. My point is this: don't fight anymore. Stop, discuss, and you can find a common denominator. I'm 100% certain. And if I don't want to be married with you anymore, we should be able to have a divorce. And you can't keep me in a marriage if I don't want to be with you. Therefore, or this household, or how do you want me to call it? So, especially you can't bring your new boyfriend to beat me up, because I don't want to stay married with you, and you can still do whatever you want to do. So this is kind of like what's going on over there. These guys want to get out of Ukraine because you brought your boyfriend in 2014, and they wanted out, and you want to keep them beating up these guys. They want to leave with a boyfriend, and then he brings his brothers in to beat you and your boyfriend. You like the analogy? Oh, you stupid? Whatever, man. You understand exactly what's going on. 2014, and not only that, the NATO expansion. That was not a NATO expansion. Other idiots' idea of conquering the world and having their hegemonic influence all over this planet, like Adolf supposedly wanted to do. But hey, he got kicked in the balls, and Soviet Union and United States became what this guy want to be by himself. This guy said, oh, we're going to be together. And now these guys left and remain these guys. And these guys want to do what? Exactly the same thing. Well, they wanted to bring Pax Americana, which they're going to be in charge of everybody and everything, and they will make sure that everybody is doing a great job, and they will be fair, honest, and just. But until then, they have to, break a few eggs if they want to make an, omelet or something. This is what they're telling us. We have to get rid of the bad people, and then everything is going to be good. We're going to be just. Because that's what Robespierre did. Remember? Robespierre and the terror, the great terror, the incorruptibles. Let me get rid of these guys in your name and to protect you, and everything is going to be okay. And they did it, and they did it, and everything escalated, and it never happened. What happened? Robespierre ended up under the guillotine eventually. So tell me about it. Do you think it happened only in France? Civilized France? Only in France? La civilisation, huh? You think only in France? Hey, human, are you human? You think you're not going to act like that? Well, good for you. Good for you. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Under pressure, under circumstances, humans act mostly as human act, and sometimes good, sometimes bad. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.